All right, so you want to make money in real estate. Huh. 100 ways to do it. That's what we're diving into today. 100.
100 ways, yeah.
And I think that just hearing that number kind of blows your mind a little bit, you know? It really makes you think outside the box.
It does. I think most people, when they think real estate, they're thinking, oh, buy a house, flip a house.
Yeah, just the basics, the bread and butter.
Right, this is going to go way beyond that.
Way beyond, yeah. So we're not going to go over all 100, but we're going to give you some really good ones.
Some of the more interesting ones.
Yeah, some of the more unusual ones for sure. So since everyone always starts with the basics, why don't we just address that and then move on?
Okay.
Rental income.
Right.
Residential, commercial, everyone knows about that. What's something that makes that a little more interesting?
Well, even within that, there are different kind of lease structures that create different income streams. So let's take, for example, a triple net lease.
Okay, triple net.
The tenant is responsible for a lot of the expenses. Things like property taxes, insurance, even maintenance.
So it's a lot less hands-on for the owner.
Exactly. You're probably going to get a slightly lower rent.
Right.
But you're getting that predictable income.
You're getting peace of mind. You're trading a little bit of maybe income for peace of mind.
Yeah.
So another one that I never fully understood was ground leases. What are those about?
With a ground lease, you're leasing out the land itself. You don't own the building on the land. You just own the land underneath.
Okay.
And this is actually pretty common. You see it a lot with like cell phone towers.
Oh, interesting.
Large commercial developments, things like that. Yeah, the leases themselves are often very long, like decades.
Oh.
So it's very stable income over a very long time.
Yeah. So we're starting to see how just the agreement that you have can really change the income.
Right.
And then obviously in the past 10 years, a huge one that has come up has been short-term rentals.
Of course, yeah.
Airbnb has totally changed the game.
It has.
But it's a different type of game.
It is. It's a lot more work.
Yes.
So you can get a lot of income, especially if you're in a touristy area.
Right.
But you're going to be working a lot harder.
Yeah, you're turning over people every couple of days.
Well, yeah.
You're communicating with them. It's like a hospitality business.
Exactly.
It is. Okay, let's move on to what I'm calling hidden in plain sight income.
Okay.
So these are things that we see every single day, but we don't necessarily associate them with making money in real estate.
Right. Right.
So, for example, billboards.
Billboards, yeah.
Someone owns that.
Absolutely.
Someone's making money off of advertising on that. Cell phone towers.
Yep.
Parking spaces, especially in cities.
A1.
Huge. It's like there's potential everywhere you look if you just kind of look at things a little differently.
And what's nice about those is that a lot of those require less capital investment than buying a property.
That's a good point. So if you're just starting out, that could be a good way to get your foot in the door. Now we're talking. And there's others too, right? Like timber rights.
Timber rights, mineral rights.
That's like you're playing the long game with that.
You are.
Yeah.
Those are definitely more tied to like commodity markets.
Right.
So there's more risk involved with those.
Right.
But there's also a lot more potential reward too.
Okay, so we've covered kind of the rentals, this kind of hidden income. Now, what about if you don't even own property, but you know a lot about real estate?
Okay.
You can still make money.
Oh, absolutely. There's a huge market for things like property management,
Okay.
home inspections,
Yeah.
real estate education.
So you're like a consultant almost.
Exactly.
You're an advisor.
Mhm.
You're helping people navigate this world.
And all of that is very scalable.
Okay.
You can
Yeah.
build businesses around all of that. Think about property management.
Yeah.
You're handling the tenant screening, collecting rent, maintenance, repairs, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you're doing that for multiple properties. So you're basically creating a business that is pretty profitable.
So many options.
Yeah.
And we haven't even gotten to the digital world yet.
That's a whole other world of possibilities.
Yeah, that's crazy. So it's really interesting to see how many different ways there are.
I know, it's pretty cool.
Okay, so we talked about all that stuff, more common ways to make money in real estate. But I'm kind of more interested in, like, the less obvious stuff. You know what I mean?
The niche stuff.
The niches, yeah. What are some of those that you've seen?
Well, how about this? Concession stands.
Okay. Concession stands.
So think about like a stadium, right? Amusement park.
Okay, yeah.
Busy airports.
Yeah.
Places where you have a ton of foot traffic.
Right.
People are looking for a quick bite or drink.
I see. So you're not renting out the stadium or the airport itself.
Right.
You're just renting a little piece of it.
Exactly. And you're capitalizing on that captive audience.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's not just limited to food, right? It could be any kind of service that people need. Souvenirs, phone charging.
Oh, yeah. Phone charging stations, big one. Shoe shines, quick repairs,
Wow.
you name it.
So it's really about finding a need and filling it.
Yep. Within that real estate context.
That's really cool. Give me another one.
Okay, let's shift gears. Go to the waterfront. Boat slip rentals.
Bow slips.
Yeah, so if you own property on the waterfront, especially in a boating area.
I'm thinking like a marina.
Exactly.
Okay.
Renting out those slips can actually provide pretty good income.
That makes sense. It's almost like the waterfront equivalent of a parking space.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like for bigger boats and yachts, you can charge a premium.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What about something even more unique?
All right, well, how about this? Renting out your property as a filming location.
Oh, yeah. I've always wondered about that. Like for movies, TV shows,
Yeah.
how do they find those cool places?
It's a real estate niche. So production companies, they need interesting places to shoot. It could be a house, a warehouse, anything, really.
So if you have a unique property,
Yeah, you could be sitting on a potential gold mine.
that's awesome. But not everyone's house is going to get picked for a movie, right?
Right.
So what are some more, I guess, accessible niches?
Okay, well, think about things people do in their free time. Golf courses, for example.
Yeah, golf courses.
You can lease out tee times, offer memberships.
Right.
There's also things like club memberships, event venues, even storage units.
It's like almost any property can be monetized in some way.
Pretty much, if you're creative enough.
But all of these things, it's one thing to have the idea, but it's another to actually make it work, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. You need the business side of things.
Yeah. So what would be like a basic breakdown of how to think about that?
Okay, so first of all, you got to think about marketing.
Okay.
How you can get the word out. Traditional advertising, online, word of mouth.
Yeah, because you can have the best idea, but if nobody knows about it,
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
Exactly.
I-
And then financial management, right?
Okay.
Knowing your costs, setting prices.
Right, right. Keeping track of everything.
Exactly. And then the legal stuff, permits, zoning, all that,
Oh, yeah.
the paperwork.
Yeah.
It's important to dot your I's and cross your T's.
That makes sense. So it's not just about the property itself. It's about having the skills.
Absolutely.
So this has been really eye-opening, I have to say.
Good, good.
So we've talked about niche markets, a little bit about business acumen.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Okay, so in the last part, we're going to dive into some strategies and resources to actually get started.
Perfect.
We'll give you some concrete steps you can take.
Okay, can't wait.
We'll be back after a short break.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, right? From the basics to those niches that people don't even think about. But how do you actually get started with this stuff?
Right. Like, where do you even begin?
Yeah.
Because there's so many options. It can be overwhelming.
Totally.
I think the most important starting point is self-assessment.
Self-assessment. Okay.
Yeah, like taking a look at yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah.
What are you interested in?
What are your goals?
Exactly. How much time do you have? How much money are you willing to invest? How much risk are you comfortable with?
Okay, that makes sense. So if you're someone who's really good with technology and you like analyzing data, maybe you're looking at those real estate platforms or maybe even developing an app. But if you're more of a people person and you like working with your hands, maybe property management or home staging is more your thing.
Yeah, your personality and your skills really play a big role. And of course, your financial situation. Some of these things require a lot of money up front.
Right.
Others, you can start small.
Okay, so you got to find that thing that works for you.
Exactly. So you've kind of narrowed it down based on yourself. Then what? Research.
Okay.
And not just like reading books, but talking to people. People who are already successful in those areas, networking, go to events, learn from people who are actually doing it.
So it's like combining that self-awareness with learning from others.
Exactly, exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment, Things change. What works today might not work tomorrow.
Right.
So you got to be flexible.
You got to adjust.
Yeah.
So it's not just about finding the right thing. It's about having the right mindset, too.
Absolutely. It's about having the skills and the network to actually make it happen.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing that you really want our listeners to walk away with?
Don't limit yourself. The possibilities are really endless in real estate. So whatever your goals are, whether it's a side hustle, a full-time career, long-term wealth, there's a way to get there. Just be curious, explore, and dream big.
I love it. That's a great way to end this. It's been so interesting to explore all these different ways to make money in real estate, and hopefully our listeners are feeling inspired.
I hope so too. And remember, the journey's just beginning. There's always more to learn and more opportunities out there. So keep learning and keep exploring.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.